Should we try a 3D bloom today? Yeah, let's do it.
All right, first up, two simple coasters. I think that these faceted coasters are really, really pretty, so I think that the 3D bloom effect will look absolutely stunning. So we're gonna start off with these guys, and I've got my resin already mixed up and getting to temperature. At this point, I'm kind of just showing you everything I've got. I've got a little Ziploc baggie here. It's going to be my piping bag. I just kind of stuffed it into a container so that it's not going to fly around or go anywhere crazy. This is my resin that I'm going to be turning white for my bloom, and that is what will go into the piping bag. Today I'm using Tea Expert 1-to-1 epoxy resin. Now the big thing with blooms is that we know we need to get our resin up to at least 33 degrees Celsius or 91.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Now keep in mind that is going to be for your fast curing resins. For regular epoxy resins, you kind of want to get the temperature a little bit higher, around even like 38 degrees, which would be 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit. 38 Celsius, 100.4 Fahrenheit. There we go. The reason being, it helps with the flow and viscosity of creating these bloom effects, particularly the white that you're creating the petals with. I'm using Jacquard Pinata Blanco white alcohol ink today. The white pigment is going to definitely be able to flow more freely and create more of a petal effect rather than sinking to the bottom of the mold when we let that resin get a little bit warmer. So very, very important for blooms is the temperature of your resin. I love how I'm talking like I know every single thing about 3D blooms. Y'all, let me be very clear. I have learned by watching over and over again Julie Cutz's videos from Pouring Your Heart Out. Again, she is so fantastic at 3D blooms, Larimar effects, all of that good stuff. So pretty much everything I have learned, I've been learning from her and watching her videos. So, Julie, thank you so much. And you are definitely an inspiration to me. I will definitely link her channel down below for you guys to check her out. I'm sure if you're into resin, you've already heard of her. But yes, absolutely giving credit where credit is due. So you will see me at this point just pouring my first layer of clear resin into both of my coaster molds. The resin right now is at about 35-ish degrees. And I know I'm not quite ready to do anything quite yet because I'm still divvying everything up. So I'm thinking by the time I'm ready to do stuff, it'll be, even hotter. So hopefully at that lovely 38-degree sweet spot. But at this point, I'm decanting my little tiny bit of resin that I colored with that Jacquard Blanco alcohol ink and putting it into my little Ziploc baggie. I really wish I had like a proper piping bag, but we're gonna just make this one work and just you, as you do, like put it all towards the one corner of the bag, and then when I am ready, I'm just gonna like snip the tippy top of that bag. Wow, I just was forgot how to talk for a second, you guys. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. Awesome. I love that for myself. All right, moving right along. Let's resin alcohol inks. I'm going to be using simple colors, orange and cerulean for one coaster, and then yellow and blue for the second. I figured if I wanted these to be part of a set, that all of these colors will kind of look pretty cool together. And I know with the blue and yellow alcohol inks, I'll definitely get like a greenish effect. I was a little hesitant about using the cerulean and the orange together, but I really wanted to try them out and see what it looked like. I'm worried that I might get a little bit of a muddied, like brownish effect, but I just can't help myself. I really like that color combination, and we're gonna see what happens. At this point, I've got some colored crushed glass, and You guys, this is where I definitely like did not follow proper instructions. The best thing to do is don't just, y'all, did you just see that? I hit my elbow on my workbench and then the crushed glass just went everywhere. This is supposed to be like the center of the flowers, and there was no coming back from this, you guys. I was like, oh my gosh, what was I doing? I should have mixed a little bit, a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of clear resin in with those stones, like in a separate little cup, so that I wouldn't have to worry about everything flying all over the place, and it would have stayed nice and uniform in the center of my coaster molds. I hope that makes sense. But at this point, there's nothing I can do, and I've just decided that much like a mature dandelion with the wind blowing and throwing its seeds all over the place, that is what the flower on the right is going to be looking like. And it's fine, because we're never perfect here, are we? I would not be a resin artist if I was perfect. So we're just going to go with that. We're finally ready to drop in our alcohol inks. So I'm going to start with the guy on the left, and I'm starting with the orange. Now, my problem is that I'll have a plan in my head, and I'm trying to keep everything very nice and symmetrical in the beginning. All right? Foreshadowing. Just wait for it. I don't know why my brain can't stick with my plan sometimes, but it's okay. I just keep going and basically trying to make sure that my blues are in between, my cerulean is in between the oranges, and that I'm kind of hitting like, you know, the different quadrants of the coaster. So basically I've got like, what is it? 8 quadrants, right? Like an octagon. At this point, I'm gonna speed this up for you guys, just, you know, just so you can see the magic in action. The magic that is me placing my alcohol inks before I attempt this bloom. All right, it is that time to actually create our petal effect with our white resin. So it is in my little baggie, and I'm just snipping the tip top of that corner of the bag off, and I am ready to start piping. Now, there are many different ways you can pipe. You can do squiggles, you can do lines, you can do actual like flower shapes. I'm just going to, for my first attempt, do a good old spiral on each one. When I started piping, I did kind of immediately realize I probably could have made my hole in the piping bag, the makeshift piping bag, a tiny, tiny, tiny bit bigger, because my white resin is definitely coming out pretty thin. And in order to let the resin pull into the center and create those really cool petal effects, you don't want super thin white lines for your petals. You kind of want a happy medium, not super thick, but also my hole could have been a little bit larger in that piping bag, I think. But at this point, I just decided I'm just kind of going for it. So I just kind of make sure that I'm going around each little spiral like multiple times, and we're going to see what happens with that. So at this point, you guys, what I'm seeing is I feel like I'm not seeing a ton of blooming effect happening yet, but it's okay. I'm just going to keep going. And taking a toothpick, and I'm kind of just creating a pattern within each coaster. So I'm going from the outside in with my toothpick multiple times, and so taking my toothpick and going from the outside in at each quadrant, and then after that I'm going to go in between each quadrant from the inside out, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, just to kind of create a fun-timey, you know, like wildflower-ish effect. And I think wildflower is gonna be the perfect term for Carolyn's first attempt at a 3D bloom, because it is just a little wild. I told you I went too ham with that alcohol ink, and there's no turning back. But hopefully we will have good results. We will see soon. And I'm basically doing the exact same thing on the coaster on the right, except this time I'm going from the inside out, and then I went from the outside in. And I'm sure it doesn't really matter which way you go. Maybe it does, but we'll see. The very last thing I do to each center, and making sure not to hit those stones that I put, the crushed glass that I put down, but I did do a tiny little like swirl in the center of each coaster, just to kind of make it pretty and, you know, even it out a little bit and hopefully create a little bit of an effect there. After this, I hit it with the heat gun, pop any bubbles, cover them up, and we wait 24 hours, which is right now. This is officially the next day, and we're gonna demold these suckers and see what they look like. I purposely did not put a backing on these guys yet. It's my first attempt, and I do kind of want the opportunity to see what a white background would look like, what a black background would look like, what the purple background of my silicone mat looks like. Here we go. All right, so this is flower number one, the one where I scattered the crushed glass all over the place. But what do you guys think? I think it came out looking pretty darn cool. Definitely not getting the bloom effect that I was hoping for, but it did bloom. I mean, we've got some blooming happening. I have to say, I think I prefer how the cerulean and orange came out. And remember I said I was a little bit worried about those colors getting muddied? I don't think it happened too badly. I've got to say, I am pleased with attempt number one. Which one is your favorite? I would love to know down in the comments below. How do you guys think I did on my first attempt at 3D blooms? I definitely hope that you guys enjoyed this little video of mine. If you are not subscribed to my channel, I would love to ask you to please do so. It helps me out immensely. It doesn't cost anything, and you can continue going on this little resin journey with me. Doesn't that sound amazing? Because I think it does. The more the merrier. All right, you guys, that is it for today's video. Until the next one, I will see you all later.